You're listening to the Talking TUF podcast, creating tough minds for fitness, nutrition, and business. With your hosts, Rob Foster and Josh Phelps.
So, on today's show, we're going to be covering the power of in-person training. Training only being one part of the picture, so the others that make the big difference. And eating out to help out. And what that may do with the obesity and some of the rules that the government are throwing out there. Controversial. It's not necessarily controversial, is it? I mean, it's just talking about government things. We're quite, I'd say, maybe taming the whole political, maybe a bit vanilla, sitting on the fence-ish with some of our stuff.
We're not going to put some strong views across.
We don't want to be getting into people's heads about that. We're here to have a good time. Anyway, so as we always do, we start with gym fails. You were discussing that in your spare time you like to watch ladies work out. Is that how this come across?
Well, it's on the I think on the unit Instagram search feed. So
right.
everyone's actually everyone's logged in on that, and then you click the little magnifying glass to search, and all these these things pop up. It's usually gym related, lifting, but then one caught my eye. Woman in obviously gym gear. Probably quite tight fitting, but she had stiletto heels on. Bit strange, right? You think she's got a barbell in front of her. Thinking,
what could possibly go wrong?
What? Yeah, and these aren't really small heels. I don't know what.
What would you say? I mean, from your experience with heels, would you say these are 6-inch highs?
No, I don't know. I don't know what 6-inch heel. That sounds like quite a high heel. A standard heel. Stiletto heel, I suppose.
Okay, cool.
Whatever that is.
4
Ladies,
inch.
tell us. And
We're talking standard European 4, yeah.
And if you know what a deadlift is, she's going to attempt a deadlift in these heels.
I mean, it's the last thing I need to be able.
You've literally got what the contact point of a 5-pence piece, and the toes are on, I don't know what, that small bit at the front, and so you've got 4 points of contact, and her stance is probably hip width, so quite narrow. And a heavy bar. She's thinking, she's obviously, I think it's like a CrossFit based sort of ego-driven lift, right? There's people around like, She's gripped the bar thinking, this is going to be great. I'm going to lift this up. Look how strong I can be. My balance. I'll ask you, what do you think goes wrong?
Well, me personally, I'm seeing a heel snap.
And you think that, right?
Yeah.
Think a worst case.
Back snap. I mean, what?
Oh, yeah. Well, ankle snap.
Oh,
ankle goes over, stays in the shoe. Basically, the ankle touches the floor. Oh, it's horrendous. Now,
that actually makes me feel.
I've rolled my ankle. I've broken my ankle, and it's.
I'm definitely not doing stiletto lifts again.
Yeah, you get your Converse back on, but I've done that, and that sort of view sickens me because it's such a horrible feeling. If everyone's rolled their ankle before, like I've done it many a time now, because when you do it, it gets weak. And stepping off a curb, sometimes I'll go over my ankle.
I'm literally pinching my hand underneath the table. Like if you can see it on the screen, I'm like just literally pinching because it makes me feel properly squeamish, whatever it's called. Squirmish, I think it's the word, but I'm squirmish. But oh no, the thought of that is horrendous.
What you see now, obviously on the internet, is people trying to outdo things. Take it to the next level. The deadlift is hard enough, right? It's a heavy bar. It's probably her body weight
in stilettos on a Bosu ball.
Yeah. You're going to pop the Bosu ball.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't get it. I don't get the mentality because there's a very small reward to that, but a very high risk. And we always talk about that with clients, don't we? The risk versus reward and pushing on to heavy lifts. There's no real benefit unless you're a performance athlete going for really, really heavy lifts to get a number on a board or to lift a weight in stilettos.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever been the heaviest stiletto deadlift though either. I'm not sure she's getting a medal for that. I don't really know what reward she's getting apart from a quick, that was pretty impressive.
She's getting
cool,
a plaster
let's move
cast.
On. Yeah, now
ankle.
That's not cool. Anyway,
forever going to roll their ankle on
that's
a
top
curb.
tip. Footwear when lifting, stilettos not.
People find it funny
ideal.
when we put our lifting shoes on, don't they? What are those special shoes you got with a big heel? Well, actually, yeah, they provide a solid platform.
My feet do need some sort of special footwear. Like they're just so ridiculously wide. Like, I mean, you'd think I've got a very stable base. I probably have got quite a stable base actually with that sort of width of the foot. And but
the shoe choice is key, right? Because if you've ever tried to lift, and we see people coming in, and fair enough, they've probably bought running shoes in the past, And they just start doing our sessions, lifting weights with running shoes, and it's a squishy sole. It's there for taking impact running, and they go and try and lift it. It's like trying to squat on a mattress or something. There's no stability there. So
having good stability is again good solid foundations in any lift. And actually, when you're lifting, creating solid foundations, I know we're completely going off topic here, but when you start doing good lifts, the amount of times I see people kind of just going into it almost in a relaxed state, format, not creating tension. Before a deadlift, for instance, creating tension on that bar before you've even gone to lift, getting solid, engagement, then performing the lift is huge. But the amount of people I just sort of see just like round in, and just like,
soft in many areas.
Can you remember those things where you? I feel like that was the noise I was making. Not that they'd do that, but
when they're lifting,
but maybe they should make that noise. And it'd remind them that they're lifting comically. No. Those things.
I can picture it. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
share your favourite workout shoe. Why don't you do that? Because
I like
that's
that.
a big question that we get asked. What shoe shall I wear?
Yeah.
Well, probably not the ones that look like they're really comfortable and squashy to lift heavy weights.
No, I like that. That's good. Cool.
Let's move
on. So the power of in-training person. We have been back in for a week, and it's been powerful. It has been pretty powerful, hasn't it? I mean, there's been a lot of love shared. Considering I did a little video the other day about being nervous, right? I mean, it's weird, but in this, considering you've been in the industry for however long, and I guess it's probably really a decade of near enough like coaching,
learning,
this
training,
stuff, doing all the
coaching,
bits, and then all of a sudden, sounds stupid, but this whole thing comes into play where things are just a little bit different, and rightly, I think rightly so, was a bit nervous. We'd put things in play, we'd thought about it. It's almost like we've been waiting months. When Boris announced that we were allowed to go back, it was like, you've got 2 weeks to get things sorted. We're like, right, okay, well, we've been ready for 2 months now. The only thing that really needs to be done is that door needs to be painted, and but that's not a thing. Systems were ready, and sort of last minute they changed the tiniest bit, but we'd envisaged all these different things happening, and it was now right. It's gonna come back into seeing if it works, and touch wood, I feel like it has worked, right? It's worked really well, and actually it's gone fantastic. You've had a couple of hiccups where people maybe haven't quite followed the procedure at the start, but the trainer stepped in, and there's been a little bit of, oh, come on, you need to go that way, we need to do that, which can be awkward for the trainers as well as the clients, right? You don't want to be the person that walks in front of like 10 people and does something wrong, like everyone's like, oh, this guy. But yeah, it happens once, you learn your lesson, you don't do it again, and as long as we step in and do those things, and we really do care about the implementation of that. But the beauty of it being is that obviously we've been seeing everybody online doing your online coaching, your Zoom sessions, your whatever, and as much as it sounds silly, like I'm seeing people, I'm still like, right, okay, distance, I'm thinking about all sorts of other things. So you're not really your personality, because you're kind of like 10 different things going on in your head. Make sure you don't step out of place.
A normal coaching session before would be going up to someone and helping them actually with their form, even just almost like pushing limbs in different directions if they're doing it completely wrong, right?
Listen,
push your knees into my hands as you're squatting.
We know cues like touch. Touch is a great cue. Sense. Feel is. It's a huge cue. If you touch somewhere, it brings your attention to that area. So if we're talking about
lower back is key, isn't it? It's like flatten that part there.
It's very hard, and people still struggle to communicate to certain areas for sure. But by having that physical touch, go right, I want you to pinch your shoulder blades together, for instance, to track your scap, and actually feel like you're pinching my fingers or something like that. It's one I'd use quite regularly for people trying to get that movement. But
that's
it's like, right, okay, no.
Now,
so now there's a lot of verbal cueing, right? But anyway, the systems come in play, and more than anything, it is that. Yeah, there's an element of accountability by booking in. We had that sort of thing going on online, and we had some small group stuff, and people did really, really well with that. But obviously being there, coming in, seeing, there's no real hiding. If you're on a camera and there's like 20, 30 people on a Zoom, oh, my cat's just done that. And then you're off the screen, like, you can go and do whatever. You're sitting down for 5 minutes, having a cup of tea, I'll have that rest in there. But in-house, you're back in, potentially using different pieces of equipment you haven't used for a while, having the coaching, the ability to sort of say to people, right, here's a couple of things you might do wrong as well. We want to do this right, and I want you to taper it down, go a bit lighter. Let's control the tempo of the session, because the people at home, will completely control the tempo, right? If they want to go for it, brilliant. Sometimes too much. And on the flip side, you had the other people who are just super chilled. So having the ability to look and see how people are doing from their visual, their expressions, and communicating with them, going, right, I just want to try this. Come on, let's try that. Let's move here. The feedback's been really good. And so, as much as there is a huge role for online training, and we've noticed that, and there's been some great benefits, it's been really refreshing to see that actually in-person training is still a huge thing.
Yeah.
I think that there's so much you can get from it, which is sometimes hard to even explain or put on paper. And, part of our role in this business now as the unit is trying to communicate that feeling. And it's such a hard thing to do. When people are like, right, I'm looking for a gym, I want to work out in these sessions, what do I get? Oh, that's a gym session. And it's like, it's all bowed into one, but, it's hard to say it. But until you've experienced, I think, different sessions, and this isn't putting anyone else down, because there's so many great instructors. And one thing that does frustrate me as well is you hear a lot of people putting down trainers at commercial gyms. I don't think they're bad trainers at all. I think, it's a choice they've got, and actually some fantastic trainers. I see people in some of the local things really being like, oh, such class is fantastic, it's really good. And they probably really do put everything into that session. But it's not necessarily their job then
one hour out of
it's not necessarily
week, right?
their job then to follow up on their nutrition, their mindset, their all the different things. So I'm not saying that they're a bad trainer putting on a bad session, and that's not my thing. But what I am saying is there is a difference between going to that commercial place, doing that session, having a fantastic 30, 45 minutes, hour session with that person, and then not seeing them for, I don't know, 2 or 3 days or a week even, before you get back onto their session. And that communication, imagine having that really good experience followed up by multiple times with that person potentially in the week. Also, the external support of your nutrition, understanding where your ailments are. Can we bring in different parts? And I know that we're going to go on to that it's more than just a really good conditioning or HIIT session or whatever, body pump or whatever it is you're doing. But actually, you're going to get that energy throughout the whole week if you want it. The big thing is, we do have some people who are super keen on asking the questions. Those people get great results.
They help others by doing that as well, to be fair.
And it takes a few people, and often there is that person who's always asking questions. Sometimes, but actually
that brings the answers out.
Brilliant.
For people who aren't confident.
We love those people. We love those people. For some people might be a bit like they're constantly asking questions, but actually, you know what? There's probably a lot of people are thinking that thing, and for us, it's brilliant. We love a question. In fact, we don't get enough questions. The more questions we get. I
think we should start answering questions on here. So any listeners, any watchers on YouTube, comments, put questions into our Instagram, our Facebook when you see the posts of the podcast, and we'll answer them for the next episode.
What do you want to know? Because not about the questions we get. Unfortunately, are like, what's my membership doing? And that's fine. That needs to be a part of it for sure. But when you get
generic ones like what's the best diet?
But do you know what? Actually, that's not bad. It's not ideal, but
it's very broad.
It needs to be answered, right? Yeah. It needs to have some sort of understanding about why certain things, why people are batting down on, why keto was huge, why was that huge, why did we get spits and spurts of different things, because that's confusing. And not to go off on a tangent, but once again, actually, that might be the right answer for you. There's no point saying no. Actually, one of these might just really work well for you personally. We have certain systems we go through, but if that doesn't work, we're not saying our system's perfect. As much as I love what we do and what we've produced and how many people it's helped, I also realise that for some people it's not going to work, because otherwise
it's a start point.
Then it's like saying that our diet's perfect, but it's not. It helps build really good habits, do really good things, but some people just need to follow something super strict, direct, or whatever it may be, and it's understanding and having the ability to work with them and then go, right, this is why it does work. The amount of times
you've probably had not many diets, you kind of stick to the same sort of thing, but I'm kind of a serial diet experimenter almost over the years. I'm not saying I switch every month, but probably the last 7 or 8 years, I've gone through short periods of time where I've just followed a particular protocol or something that's had a bit of research behind it. I thought, how did my body react to this? And guess what the outcome was? Every time I've tried something slightly different, pretty much the same, right? They've all worked in some way, shape or form, but this is obviously a huge question we can go on to another time. But what's the diet? What diet's the best? It's the one that makes you can do long term, makes you feel comfortable, obviously you have to get a little bit uncomfortable if you're restricting food a bit, but not to the point where you're emotionally a wreck from dieting, and something that actually obviously works.
Yeah, and this
the cabbage soup diet will probably won't work for many people.
Might do if you love cabbage. There are people who love cabbage.
Celery and peanut butter diet. That's what was one time we had, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, it worked perfectly. I just ate celery and peanut butter all time before my wedding.
It's when people really like, well, that is the only way. It must be the way. Like, no.
It's an understanding, it's education things. It really
has worked. I understand it worked, but you're going to do that for the rest of your life because you're going to come across some issues, some definite issues if you carry on eating that. But this is nutrition. We've talked about training in the power of that, but when it comes to training, let's talk about the different elements of training. And when we're starting to say maybe even for ourselves start to go back to maybe basics as such. We're the same as anyone else, right? You find what you like, you find what you enjoy, you can kind of get comfortable, and if you've not got someone telling you to do different, then why would you, right? You do what you're doing, you keep it in good shape, you keep it active, then keep doing it, and that is fine. But there is also an element of, over the few years, we've been doing it, there has been a little bit of hiding from some of the facts. And for the last, say, 6 to 8 weeks, I know we spoke about this previously, we've upped our sort of cardio,
10-week
stuff.
10-week
program,
wasn't it? Wrote Grace into it as well.
And we've seen some huge differences from that. And also I noticed as well my mentality around nutrition as well, because I was training harder, I was a little bit more lax than that. So,
definitely.
And that's something for people to be aware of, is that, when people up their ante as such with training, sometimes you let the nutrition thing not be strict. Well, I've worked really hard, and actually it doesn't work like that. If I technically, for the amount of output I put in the last 6 weeks or whatever,
you're in deficit.
I should be in a huge deficit, but I've managed to counterbalance that with terrible food in the evening. But I understand it, and I'm not beating myself up about it. And if I really wanted a difference, though, then I know where to approach it. But the other things that we're going to look at now. So today we're starting a new program. We've kind of combined a few different bits. We're going to bring in some different elements.
Bring some favourites back in that we used to love doing.
Yeah, some movements that, so you have been sort of in the cupboard a little bit, but bring up some stuff that are going to hopefully bring up some weakness areas, but certainly start to improve our mobility is the idea. So actually making it a part of the session. So rather than being, I've got to do a little bit of mobility before my session, this is the session. It's part of the session.
We kind of like the warm up. We've had a programmed warm up now that we never really used to do properly, and sometimes it took 10-15 minutes to warm up and actually do some bits before, which has really helped.
Yeah.
But the mobility thing kind of seems like, and you'll probably relate to this at home, it's almost like wasted time, but it's not. It's so powerful. We look at it as like, can't really spend 10 minutes just rolling out my muscles on a ball.
The thing is, if someone was to come to one of our conditioning classes and would spend 15 minutes on prep work, it'd be fantastically, hugely beneficial, but they feel like it was very slow paced. So, and then you're like, right, okay, well, you need to do this externally. And the majority of people don't do it because it's like, it doesn't matter if I don't do it.
Golf, mentality. I've got to practice putting. Yeah. Just going up for half an hour putting every couple of days is something I need to do to get better.
Yeah.
To stop dropping those shots. I just won't do it because it's such a short bit of time. It's only half an hour. Is it going to make much difference? It is. If I did it, twice a week for 2 months, it'd be insane.
Yeah.
I'd like half an hour a week extra practice.
You'd also have to sneak out and do that, like when the wife wasn't nowhere to go home and go, I'm putting for half an hour.
I'll take Henry.
Yeah, there you go. Happy days. Yeah, it'd be like a
teach
collector.
him how to putt.
Well, yeah, and also be like, right, run down, grab those balls, roll down, bring them back.
Get an exercise.
That's a little bit of fitness. So
recovery-wise, we've done something in the past years ago actually, and it sparked me seeing those videos to redo them briefly and show me how terrible my mobility is. But it's called the Limber 11. It's a guy called Joe DeFranco, American guy, gyms in America, and he's I can't remember the name of his gyms, but he's very big in that in the States. He created this Limber 11 routine, 11 movements, funnily enough, and gets you more limber. There's foam rollers involved. I did a video, so check out our YouTube, Facebook, and it's on there. But I demoed a couple of the movements, and just watching back, I'm like, wow, so inflexible. Every time I knelt down, I was like, you probably can't hear it on the video, but it's cracking, joints were popping. I was like, this is horrendous. I never used to be this bad, but it's because I haven't prioritized mobility in between sessions. We've done a warm up, we've done a bit before, but really that's it. And that's kind of when you start up your output training and just general sort of mobility, or not mobility really, but moving around, your body does take a toll. So it's something you need to do.
Mobility and stability, as well. Is like I found recently trying a couple of things. We did some pistol squats, brought that back in, and I was like, whoa, like putting me on 1 foot. Like I was like, Christ, actually, am I that do I feel way stable? Am I really in control? And I found myself trying to shift. My hips are twisting. Like I was like, right, try and stay. And then I'm like, whoa, I can feel the pressures in different areas. And it's just challenging my body. And it's not putting on, like, that was body weight, right? And it wasn't even to a deep position, to a bench. And even at then, I'm like, there's a lot of concentration. There's a lot of effort. I'm having to really focus and drill down. And these are the things that, I haven't really seen the benefit in, I guess, because it's not getting me a pump as such. I'm not getting real sweaty, but actually I was finding it very tough. I wasn't like aching afterwards or anything, but doing the movement was more challenging than chucking on crazy weights on my back in a back squat or benching or whatever it be. I found it really, really hard, and I was like, crikey. Yeah. My mental challenge was huge. Physical demand on the body was huge. Balance, core, and I know that it's under par at the moment. So this is kind of, I guess, us putting out there, being accountable. Ask the question if you do follow this, chuck on how you're getting on with stuff. If you want to see bits about it, I think we'll start posting. I think we need to, right? Maybe get back on the Instagram, maybe the Barbo Club stuff.
I think you were quite impressed with when I was setting up for that deadlift, how I sat down quite low. That was, I'm inflexible in certain parts, but then I can still squat pretty low to,
yeah, I mean, you can pick up marbles, right? And I literally can...
Which I find impressive. I can't remember the name of it. The bodybuilder, absolutely massive. And they do, I don't know if you know, but if you're watching, but they step on stage, they do routines. Certain federations do certain like styles and things, right? Some of them do a routine. This guy, absolutely massive. Like it's a running joke though. The bodybuilders struggle to wipe their own
backside,
where they go to the toilet, but because the muscle mass and the mobility and just can't do. This guy was doing breakdancing basically. He was doing the splits. I was like, that is, when you go handstand and you split the legs overhead, like he's literally handstand with. That's called something in gymnastics, I think, but legs straight out, like parallel with the ground. He's massive. Like I can't even imagine.
Crazy,
and there should be no way he is. He's that mobile, flexible, unless he's prioritised that. But then you look at thinking that if you prioritise that, you'll sacrifice muscle mass and gain and stuff. So he's managed to do both. So he's not walking around like a complete, muscle bound wooden.
Yeah, exactly.
Model.
And that's huge to that person to do that. Like that's brilliant. And actually, but it's getting that all rounded. And that's the things I think when we're looking at our training now. Is initially we're probably getting back to the gym about going, right, I need to start working out, I need to start working out hard. But can we almost implement and create now, not doing what we've done time and time again, but go, right, actually, I'm restarting in some respect. I've got back into my training. What are the things that let me down? Or what are my weaknesses after a while? What do I always fall into? Do I often get injured after a few weeks, months and stuff? What am I not doing that I know I probably should be doing? And can I make that part of my training? And I think that's kind of what we've done. We've been lucky enough to train the whole way through lockdown, whether it be from home, whether it be at the gym when we're allowed to come back in here, being able to shift some weights, not necessarily gone crazy with it all, but kept on top of it. The last 10 weeks, we've beat ourselves up a little bit in a different way with that cardio. So that's been great. And we've improved that. We've got to now maintain that and not just go, done our stint. Can we keep on top of that and not now rewriting a program, sack that off, keep that in there, but implement the mobility. We might not have the same size that we had previously when we're doing all hypertrophy but if we can move better, we've got better CV function, better, our conditioning's better, and we've still got muscle mass, then I guess probably that's the way to be going. But mind you, we might do it and go back to hypertrophy. That was easier. That was more fun.
The relevance is that most people have had their first week back in a gym and they may have had 4 months off. So they're going to be going through the same things. They're going to be hitting it hard, maybe feeling sore. Time now is to recover well, because you will only get injured or deflated that you're feeling terrible, and stop again. Maybe hopefully the motivation's there to go, and if your gym wherever you go is is set up correctly to actually facilitate your training, you should be able to get some routine back in, but maybe put in a bit of mobility. Maybe the Olympia 11. I watched the video, check it out. It literally could take you 11 minutes if you did a minute on each thing.
Yeah.
It's worthwhile doing.
It's, as you say, if you just get it in there and make it part of your routine, happy days. Talking of things which have been nice to get back to, there's the opportunity to eat out, right? To go out and dine out, and this is the government section, so be careful. No, but the reality is there's the eat out to help out sort of thing, and that's in August, right? So that's now pretty much
50% off food, Monday to Wednesday, I think, isn't it?
Is it 50%?
50% off ticket price, I suppose.
I see. I thought it was like a VAT drop of like 20%. You don't have to pay the VAT.
Oh, maybe different places are doing different things.
Okay.
But I know I've seen a few, and they're cutting their prices in half to get people. Now, good food at half the price, perfect.
Yeah.
What about the flip side? Junk food at half the price.
Right.
What's people's mentality going to be around that?
The fitness industry are going nuts about this in some respect. They're like, we're bothered by obesity, and now we're encouraging people to eat out and, go and drink like soda, or not sodas, but like, fizzy drinks. I call it sodas still. It's the old school American living. And I'm like, right, okay, I get this. So I always love to look at both sides of things in any situation. And, I've got friends who run a pub. So I know
they
their
need
struggles,
the revenue,
right?
Yeah.
They need
restaurants need the revenue.
And there's going to be times when we're going to want to go back to the, when this is lovely, the sun's lovely, right? We can be in gardens, we can do all this, and everyone's like, okay, I don't miss the pub. But there are a lot of people who, if you're thinking about a broader picture, go there, and it's not just to get boozed up all the time, right? People do still use pubs as a social place to, if you've got, say, like you do have, friends who've got young families and stuff like that, and then there's like 4 or 5 and there's a birthday or something, then you may not, but you might go, right, okay, we're going to go to the pub, there's a pub garden, the kids can hang out there, we can sit in the garden, do whatever, or we can go to the restaurant, because most pubs have like a restaurant ability, and this is what we're talking about, the eating out. So there are that side of things, but
should it just be small businesses that get it and do this? Or should it be
the hard
chains
thing
and
is
franchises and
this
things
is what's
that are
getting me is that when you get these big chains and stuff like that, is that my worry is that people see this now, instead of going, oh, right, sweet, I'm saving a bit of money, they just buy twice the amount. It sounds silly, but they're like, oh crikey, I can get two burgers now.
£4.49, so I can get two for £4.
Yeah, I can get two for £4. Yeah. So then I'm double my Big Mac, because it's the same money. Like, does that happen? It may be. Or
your mentality around going to shops and you look for
a deal.
Yeah, a deal.
Yeah, I'm a deal guy. Like
if there's two for £1.
Imagine me going in now, seeing Haribo, and it's 50p versus £1. I'm like, well,
you'll buy more.
I've got a £1 coin. I'm buying two.
Going to buy it because when the price goes back up, you'll feel like you missed out.
Well, and the problem being, right, is that I'll go, I'll buy that now because it's cheaper and I'll save it. I don't save it. Like, people are, and when you're eating out, you can't save it anyway. So people look out and look at the menu and they go, right, I used to spend £10 each on a dinner. We're like, oh, great, we can have a dessert now because I've saved a few quid. I'll have a dessert as well. And that's it, because it's like, so I can get a starter, a main, and a dessert for £10, where I used to be able to maybe get a main meal. And then you're like,
so on the flip side, it gets the same amount of revenue coming back in for the restaurants, of course, because people are spending the same.
I mean, they got the cost of the food and stuff like that. But as you say, but hopefully it's encouraging them to get that, which is great. And I do fully support all these businesses that have got, small businesses, small pubs and things like that, and restaurants, and because there's some of these family run restaurants. I literally have been in the family for
they probably run on a month in reserve capital.
Exactly, because and that's it's created their jobs, their lives, their whole family work around it. You've seen some of these. I know in Ireland more so than here. We go to a family-run restaurant there. It's a good friend of Sue's brother's, like a really good friend. Amazing Italian food, and it's run by an Italian family. It's fantastic, such a lovely experience because of that. Their family working their day and night, and like I'm pretty sure the daughter, who Ed's very good friends with, is like in there. I'm pretty sure Boxing Day, Christmas Day. I think they do like nearly every day of the year, I want to say, apart from like maybe Christmas morning or whatever it is. And they're in there and they're grafting, and it's the whole family. But I don't see that they've this is going to hit them hard, right? And if it's encouraging people to go back to their restaurant, brilliant. I just hope that people somewhat go, right, I'm going to support them, get back in, do these things, and But as you say, on the flip side,
Spend
if they
the
then,
same,
are they going to go
eat
in and
double.
go, well, exactly. And that's a hard thing, especially if they're not getting out and balancing it. And it is understanding the balance. It is understanding that we do need to enjoy ourselves and we need to have nice times. And if that is one of the things you enjoy, then fine. I don't judge people on that. Going out and eating isn't the worst thing in the world. But, look at the rest of your lifestyle. Am I balanced with that? Am I just someone who eats rubbish all day, then goes out and eats as much as I can get for my £10, so I'm eating twice the amount.
Well, on that, I'm not sure if there is some limits put in place on certain restaurants will have a spend limit, so that A, stops people overeating, and B, I suppose, make sure that people will likely spend to that limit. You can only get, I don't know, maybe that's something in place.
I mean, but then is that if you're a pub restaurant, it's like, does that defeat the object?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, I only want you to spend £5 because otherwise, it's no good. They're going to want you to spend money, but not being rude, but it's not on them that you're eating twice the amount. Like, you've got to own your stuff, right? You've got to you've got to be an adult. We spoke about this before. It's like eating like an adult rather than a child.
Would it be better to halve the cost of more healthier meals then?
Well, so this is the other thing, right? If you start looking at things and then you go
direct people towards those,
then you've got the argument,
grilled chicken salad.
What's healthy? And then it's like, well, isn't having a treat the right thing? If we eat healthy the whole time, eating out, having that treat is the right balance, then surely that I shouldn't be punished for having a nice meal.
We know it's education around what meals contain, and generally restaurant meals contain a lot more than your home cooked versions. But a lot of places publish their nutrition information. You could literally search.
Well, they're talking about putting calories on all.
Well, yeah, that's
on all menus, right?
MyFitnessPal, you could search Nando's chicken, wrap or pita or whatever. It'll come up with what it is. But some restaurants don't have theirs on. I've found ways around that in the past, and I've got a good judge of what something would contain, and loads of little hacks to try and almost estimate my output. But now they, like I said, they're going to have to publish calories on everything that's sold.
And I discussed this the other day with a trainer, and knowledgeable guy, and we were saying, like, what do we think about it? And I don't see, we talk about the negatives possibly being for maybe the restaurant at that stage, but as you say, because
it's harder work for them. They're a lot harder work.
Because foods that taste good. The reason a lot of times we go out to things that are hyper palatable are usually cooked in your butters and your things like that, and that's what and these are restaurants and. Let's go back to the Italian restaurant, right? They've probably got loads of like garlic, buttery sort of things, and the food's gorgeous. It tastes amazing, and I want loads of it. And right, great, put it at half price. I'm going to buy 2 lots of these garlic prawns, right? Oh, that's cool. But as you say, once again, if I then maybe this is the answer. Maybe then if I go garlic prawn, how many? 600 calories.
Or are they going to really tell the truth? Are they going to be? Who's going to test it? To be honest,
well, it's hard to.
You can't really. You cannot test the calorie. They can give an estimate,
but then again, saying that, right?
They have to have some sort of. They have to say I use X amount of butter.
Yes, if they're putting on something that's completely outrageous, somebody will probably maybe. Yeah. Well, would they call them out? Maybe, but
might sneak a few calories off it just to make it look a bit better than.
And that's something you've got to take into consideration,
right? Portion size will reduce slightly, and they'll fill it up with other things to make the meal still look big, I guess.
Once again, if they're filling it up with veggies and things like that, then maybe that's not a bad thing, right? So you're looking at it, but then, I say, the one thing that might then stop you from buying twice the amount or whatever is if it's I don't know, what did you say, Big Mac earlier? Big Mac, and I genuinely don't know the calories on that, but I'm going to chuck out there, say it was 800, something like that, I don't know.
I'd probably say it's
600?
About maybe 600 for a burger.
Okay, so say it's 600, right? Big Mac. And then you're like, oh, it's half price, I'll get 2. And then you're like, okay, well, that's 1,200 calories. Unless people are even aware of what that actually really means, it's kind of irrelevant. Like, well, I'm still getting twice the amount of food for the same price. Or they don't care.
Yeah. What's the average on the back of, or what they always put an average male and average female should consume X amount. It's usually 2,500 or 2,000 calories a day. But that's such a old school way of they've just put a pin in almost like about there. We'll just say about that. And someone's like, right, well, okay, I've got 600 calorie Big Mac. I'm allowed 2,500 calories today.
Yeah.
But then they forget about things they eat. Then they're like, oh, I've had a meal at home. That's probably only about 400 calories, probably about 8 really. And that's where people go wrong. They just keep, and they almost over consume without realizing how many.
So is this government thing, I know it's helping the business financially, but is actually encouraging people to overconsume? And as I say, I don't think it's not every day. It's not every day of the week, is it? Or is it?
No, Monday to Wednesday. So the first 3 days of the week, people can go out and have
we're aware that a lot of people. I say that, maybe I'm wrong.
I think they've only done those because they know that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday for hangover food is going to be the big time.
Well, I'm just going to start having my weekends on Monday and Tuesday.
Well, that's it. You just
crashing through the work Saturday, Sunday. I'm taking Monday, Tuesday off. I'm just going to go out and eat and drink and whatever.
Be merry.
It'd be just eating all the snacks. Something we touched on earlier, and I want to sort of look at the thought of the day. That we like to sort of then, just because you've always done something a certain way, does not mean you always have to do it that way. You have the power to change at any time you want. And that is something that when we talk about our training and our nutrition and our habits and stuff like that, it's hard. And like you said, you're maybe a serial, but every now and again you'll change, like testing diets. And that's a powerful thing to be able to do. To be able to go, right, I'm going to test this diet is a strength. It's an inner strength, right? Because a lot of these challenges, because that's what they almost are, challenges versus diets, right? Yeah. To say you're not allowed this, or you have to have this at a certain time, or you can't have any more of that, or you're allowed X amount of this. For a lot of people is a challenge, right? But you can do this. You have the power to do this. You genuinely do. You may not believe it. You may not think you can. The amount of times people tell me I can't do something, or yeah, but we always do this, we always do that. You always have done that. Okay, and you may always do that unless you're strong enough to make a change. But you are strong enough. You have that power to make that difference and make that change if you really, 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 really want it. People say they want things, and then you tell them how to do it, and because it's uncomfortable, because it's hard, the barriers come up. But just because you've always done something a certain way, like our training for the last 3 or 4 years, doesn't mean we have to stay that way because that's what we do and it gets a good result. We know that we want to change certain elements and we have the power to do that, and it's not easy. The last 10 weeks hasn't been easy. We've had struggles, we've had little niggles pick up.
Nice days and some bad days.
Yeah, and there's been days when, I've struggled to walk, and I'm not saying everyone has to struggle to walk to feel change, to feel difference. But there were certain times we did something that I did too much. I was daft. I went and did more exercise somewhere else and tried something else. And there's times you've got to just listen to your body, and we've done that. But just want you to think about this. Think about something you've always done, or previously maybe to lockdown you always did, and that was kind of your thing, and it's the way you do something. But maybe it's not giving you the best outcome. Maybe there's something in your world that you're like, I know I'm doing it all the time. For instance, I know I go to the gym, and we saw this as a comment from one of our clients. I used to go to the gym. I used to go on 10 minutes on the treadmill, then the cross trainer, then the bike, because I felt I had to go. That's why she went to the gym, because she felt she had to go. And she's been doing it time and time again, and that was her routine. And she just never did anything else, but she knew she had to do something until she made a change and difference. And since then, she's, the comments, you can read them for yourselves, no doubt we'll share that one because it was incredible. But just because she went to the gym and she did that all the time, and that was her experience of going to the gym, doesn't mean it always has to be her experience of going to the gym. There are different ways of doing exercise, going to the gym, different gyms, different setups, and you may find a way that might seem hard to begin with, but you might end up loving. Or you might find a way, like you're eating. You might always have breakfast, and what I do is I get up, I have a black coffee, I have 2 eggs on toast or whatever. That might be the way you've done it for the last 10, 15 years. Like for me, for instance, oats. But I can change it if I really want to make a change. And often when I'm doing something like making a change, like trying to reduce weight, I know that's one of the first things I can reduce. I don't have to cut it out, but I can reduce the portion size, or I can cut it out and maybe replace with something different. And, straight away that makes a huge difference over the course of a week. So just because you've always done something a way doesn't mean you always have to do it that way. And you do have the power to change it.
Brilliant. Yeah, that's something great to think about on a Monday.
Cool.
We record this podcast on YouTube as well for people who want to watch. Check us out. And obviously on audio, which you're listening to. Subscribe, like, comment, share. Obviously, any questions you have, fire them across to our social media. We'll pick them up and we'll answer them on the next podcast.
Perfect. Cheers, guys. Peace.
Bye-bye.